Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Let's go ahead and get into Love is Blind Season 6, Episode 8, Clinging to Love. So we're opening up and we are 20 days away from the weddings. And what the couples are doing today is seeing where each other lives, seeing their living arrangements. So the first couple is Jimmy and Chelsea, and they're starting out at Chelsea's apartment. And Chelsea is just talking about she's super clean, but she is concerned that, she hasn't been there in 3 weeks. And what if there's a dust bunny? What if he decides he doesn't want to get married? Well, you know what? Good, because guess what? We're not feeling Jimmy anyway. And while they are at Chelsea's apartment, Chelsea's roommate, Tiffany, stops by and she seems very friendly, nothing too out of the ordinary. And she has some champagne and they're toasting. And, Tiffany is saying, basically, welcome to the family, being very friendly and normal. But you know what Jimmy says? I don't think I can deal with her. What? So they leave Chelsea's and they go over to Jimmy's. So Jimmy is kind of showing Chelsea around his apartment, and it's a one bedroom, but he doesn't have any roommates. So basically they're saying, Chelsea would have to move in with Jimmy because Jimmy clearly does not want to stay at Chelsea's. So now we're going over to AD and Clay, and we're stopping by Clay's house first. And he has a keypad to get into his home. And so he's going up to the keypad and punching in the code, but he's hiding it because he doesn't want AD to know the code. Well, that's interesting. So Clay is just kind of showing AD around, and he does have a very nice home. It is like a bachelor pad. And so what he is saying, yeah, it would be nice. I'm already paying the mortgage here. You can just move in here. It can use a lady's touch. And, AD, she says that she could see herself there. And now we are moving on to Laura and Jeremy. So as they are pulling up to Jeremy's place, he opens a garage and he has basically a whole gym in his garage, which is really nice. It looks like he's very much into fitness. He has pictures up. He has medals up. Apparently he's won a few medals and done some competitions. And so, they were just talking about that. And then they move on into the house. Now, when they open the door to go into the house, it almost looks unlived in. I mean, it's a few things in there, but it is completely clean. Like, it is spotless. The robot vacuum is running. And I'm thinking to myself, who cut that on? Is it remote? You can start it from your phone. But he does say that, he is very, very clean. And even Laura says that it looks staged, which it does. It doesn't look like anybody lives there, but he says that he's a minimalist. And Laura goes on and she's looking in the cabinets and inside of the kitchen and in the drawers, and he has the gold silverware and the gold knives, and she opens the refrigerator and everything's pulled to the front and all the labels are facing front. And she says, it's really nice that he's so clean and tidy. I mean, it's almost next level, but it's also giving her serial killer vibes. Agreed. So now they are in Jeremy's bedroom, and again, very clean lines, very crisp and white. And he has a CPAP machine in his room, and he puts on the mask and kind of shows him how he lays down with the CPAP on. And they're just talking, but the angle of the camera has caught Jimmy. It has a hole in his shorts. Now, Jimmy, now you knew you was going to be on Love is Blind. Why do you even have shorts that have holes in it? And even more, if your home is this spot, no, I'm not believing. Something is off. How do you have a hole that big in your shorts and your home is that tidy? Do you not care about your clothes? You only care about your home looking nice? So now we're going over to Kenneth's house for Kenneth and Brittany. And they are in his kitchen. already. We haven't seen the rest of the house. They are already in the kitchen and looking in the refrigerator, and there is nothing but a light bulb in there. And Brittany is like, what do you eat? Are you cooking? Where are you eating? Because there is no food, just this light bulb. And then they are, she's looking in his cabinets, and he has a little bit of junk food in there. It's a bachelor's place. So, okay, we're not going to give him too much on it. And, he has an air fryer that he said he has never used. Clearly, he must eat out all the time. But he opens up this spice cabinet, and Kenneth, brother, this is where we're going to have to take your card. If you know, you know. He has 2 seasonings in his cabinet, and none of it is any type of salt, Lawry's, slap your mama, nothing. Hand it over. Give us the card, Kenneth. So now they're pretty much done. I guess he's finished giving her the tour of his place, and so they're kind of just sitting on the couch. And once again, Kenneth is on that cell phone. And as he is scrolling through that phone or doing whatever it is he's doing on that phone, he's staring at his phone, but asking her, "How are you feeling? What are you thinking? Do you care?" I mean, he's not even taking a moment to look up at her. So as he is on his phone and he's asking her how she feels, actually, I didn't think she was going to open up and be honest, but eventually she is opening up and just saying, when we were in the DR, you kind of was one way, you was a little bit up. She's starting to notice some up and down in his moods, like a little bit of a mood swing going on. And since they have been back stateside, she is noticing he's been more down than up. So she's kind of questioning that. And he says, you're not going to be bubbly all the time. Can I get a little grace about it? Brittany, tell him no. I mean, you got to be up sometimes and stay off of the phone maybe a little bit. And he goes on to say, he's ready to get back to normal, his normal life. He's ready to go back to work. He wants her to go to work and then they come home. So I don't know if he's saying, they've been spending so much time together that he's ready for some time apart. Honestly, Kenneth really does not seem to be interested in her. And I can't really put my finger on what it is. If you think without giving any spoilers, drop down in the comments. And she actually says to him that she doesn't have any question about whether or not he is feeling her. Brittany, you should, because he's not. He's not giving anything to you to let you know that he's interested at all. So now Jimmy and Chelsea are back to their shared living space. And it looks like some of Chelsea's friends have stopped by. And once again, Chelsea is overly giddy. I mean, honestly, I didn't think that was real when she was running towards Jimmy when they first met, and all the jumping and high-pitched squealing. I didn't think that was real, but clearly that's who she is. So Chelsea is filling in her friends on the Love is Blind experience, when she was in the pods, and she's talking about how it really came down between Trevor and Jimmy. And she was letting them know, she really did love Trevor. And so they're asking, what did he look like? I still haven't seen him yet. And but obviously she chose Jimmy. And then she goes on to say that Jimmy really likes, physical touch. But what she notices is that when they are spending time together, for example, she's cooking dinner, she would love for Jimmy to come over and hang out with her and, touch and engage with her, but he doesn't do it. And the friends are like, well, why not? And she's holding up her phone because Jimmy is on that phone. So then Chelsea explains, that he hasn't kissed her at all on this particular day. And he saw a picture. Jimmy apparently saw a picture of Jessica. Now, we haven't seen the reaction yet. I really cannot wait for this to see the reaction for when he sees Jessica. But I think that Chelsea is already feeling some type of way. We already know she has some insecurities, and the fact that she knows that Jimmy has seen Jessica now, at least in the picture, I'm pretty sure she's about to start spiraling. So Jimmy comes down and joins Chelsea and her friends, and they're just kind of catching up with him, meeting him for the first time, asking questions. And one of the questions that they ask him is, do you believe in going to bed angry? And so Jimmy is kind of like, well, we had one argument, and he's stressing one. I mean, 1 in 3 weeks. I don't know. You're not really batting 1,000 here. I mean, he's saying it like it's a good thing, but what I guess what I'm saying is 3 weeks is not a long time. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the Jimmy and Chelsea segment by saying that um, Jimmy obviously knows that Chelsea needs validation, and Chelsea's friends ask, "Is Chelsea his type?" And he says yes, and he says Chelsea is perfect. We again, Jimmy, I mean, you're being nice. That's well and good, but we just don't believe you really think that. And now let's move on to something happy. Amy and Johnny. So they are at Amy's up home, and she has a very nice home. It looks like it's a town home, and they are in the kitchen, and she apparently is into crystals, and Johnny is like, "You into crystals? Um, a flag on the play." I'm flag on the play. So as Amy and Johnny continue to talk, they're actually talking about, future goals and their plans and where they are financially, because Johnny says, I do not want to continue paying rent. Rent is high. The first thing I want us to do is get a house. Are you okay with that? And she said, actually, yes, I've been thinking about that. I feel like we're both in a pretty good place financially to do that. But what Johnny is saying is that, he wants to retire early as well. So that means we need to live frugally. And Amy is like, well, hold your horses now, because Amy likes to get out there and go and do, and YOLO, baby, we only live once. Let's go out in here and do these things. So this is really the first time they've had a conversation where they are completely on opposite sides. But at the same time, they are hearing each other out. I feel like they're communicating to each other really well. And another conversation that Amy and Johnny have had, once before as well, is having children. And currently, Amy and Johnny are not intimate, and that is because Amy is not on any type of birth control, and Johnny doesn't feel like one contraception is enough. So they have not been intimate. And because he absolutely does not want to have children right away, he's kind of not trying to go that route with her. It's interesting though, because Amy did recommend that Johnny get a vasectomy. I think it's perfectly fine if you're in a relationship and you've already had children and you don't want any more children, that the man get the vasectomy or the woman get her tubes tied, or however. I think it's perfectly fine and fair if you already have children. But if you are just getting ready to get married and you want children, I wouldn't recommend a vasectomy. Yes, you can get them reversed and still be able to have children, but I just would not recommend going that extreme. And at the same time, Amy does not want to get on birth control. She doesn't want to take anything that's going to alter the chemistry in her body. And, we have to respect that as well. And Amy continues to say, this is really big in our relationship, and it's something that we have to figure out before we go to the altar. Again, they are having these difficult conversations, and they are on two different sides, but they are handling the situation so well. Like, no arguments, Jimmy. It's been the same amount of time, Jimmy. No arguments at all from Amy and Johnny. And now we are back over to the shared apartment with Kenneth and Brittany, and they're just talking. Kenneth is eating something, and Brittany's not. I don't know if he bought himself something to eat, didn't get her something. I'm not sure. But they are talking about the fact Brittany is bringing up the fact that he came home at 1:30 in the morning. She was asleep, and he wakes her up to tell her good night. He was just wanting to tell her good night. He left all the lights on, and she had to get up at 5 in the morning. So she begins to talk about, she wants to discuss, the fact that she's basically not feeling any type of desire between the two of them on an intimate level because Kenneth is not giving that to her. And so Kenneth says, in my mind, in a very manipulative way, so you don't feel that way, because Kenneth is saying that he does feel a crave or desire for Brittany. Kenneth, now come down to the front and have a seat, because you're not feeling anything for Brittany. It's been very clear that you haven't been feeling since you saw her in the DR. Something flipped, something changed. I'm not sure what it is. Part of me thinks it's the interracial aspect and the fact that you haven't been in an interracial relationship before. But don't try to put this on her, because I really think that she is into Kenneth, or she wants to be. She's trying to make it work. On the other hand, Kenneth, no, don't do that. Don't try to flip this conversation on her. So Kenneth goes on to explain that when he did come home at 1:30, he was trying to be affectionate with her, but she did not return that. So what he's saying is, there are times when I'm trying to be affectionate with you and you don't receive it. And then, how am I supposed to feel? I'm a respectful man. If you don't want it, I'm just going to be like, okay, it's cool. But I don't know, Kenneth. You might be honest about that part, because we're not seeing everything. Clearly, we're not seeing everything. But the parts that we are seeing, you do, Kenneth, seem very distant from Brittany. So as Brittany and Kenneth continue talking, Brittany is saying that what I am getting for what Brittany is saying is that, she's not feeling from Kenneth that he desires her in the way that a man should be desiring her. I feel that Brittany does like Kenneth, but I've been saying for the past couple of videos that Kenneth is not feeling her on that same level. And so now Kenneth is saying, well, if you're not feeling the desire for me, Brittany, then there's no need to force this. And, we just have to do what's best you have to do what's best for you. I got to do what's best for me. This conversation went left. It definitely took a wrong turn somewhere back there. I'm not sure what happened, but hopefully they can, it's still pretty early. I think hopefully they can come back together and talk about this again, because I think Brittany really does want to be married to Kenneth, but I don't think Kenneth wants to, and it seems like he's going to take any opportunity to get out of this. And again, Brittany is crying, she's bawling her eyes out, and Kenneth is what? Sitting across the table eating his food, drinking his beverage, and on his phone. But you care about her. That something is not right there. If you cared about her and the person that you care about is upset and they're crying, why not get up and console that person? I don't know. That doesn't look like care or love. Brittany, go ahead on and pack your bags, girl, and go on home, because Kenneth ain't it. Kenneth is not it. Pack your bags and let's go home, baby. So Kenneth walks off and goes upstairs. He leaves Brittany downstairs crying. And we can hear him calling one of his friends to let them know that he is, about to get his stuff and go on over. And it's a guy friend. And, I'm not going to make any type of innuendos about Kenneth, because you know what? I don't know. And that's his business. But Yeah, something is off. And I've been saying that. Something is off with Kenneth. And now we are back over at the shared space with Jimmy and Chelsea. And again, what Chelsea and her insecurities are coming out. Chelsea, girl, your slip is showing. Your slip is showing. Chelsea needs therapy. And I'm just going to say it because the level of insecure that Chelsea has is crazy to me. She is constantly wanting Jimmy to tell her she's pretty, tell her just constantly. And Jimmy said, I got to go to work. We're not going to be around each other all day. She said, but, I came back from getting my eyebrows done and you didn't say anything about Chelsea. Therapy. 888, get therapy. Get it now because, and Jimmy going to drive you crazy anyway, but you need therapy. And especially because, every time there is a conversation about Jessica comes up or AD comes up, Chelsea gets in her feelings immediately. And she needs for Jimmy to validate her over and over and over again. Jimmy is now, once again saying that he didn't bring up Jessica. Someone else, Jeremy, actually brought up Jessica to Jimmy. They went to her Instagram page and saw a picture of her. And Chelsea now is in her feelings about it. Chelsea, get therapy. And Chelsea is going on to say, I am trying to show you who I am, how I am going to be as your wife. And I'm not getting anything from you, Jimmy. I'm not feeling that you love me. I didn't feel it today. I didn't feel it yesterday. I need to feel that. So Jimmy goes on to tell Chelsea, I can't tell you I love you every hour of the day. Chelsea, he can't. Nobody can do that. Nobody can do that. But I will say, Jimmy then says to Chelsea, you starting to feel a little bit clingy. I've been thinking it, Chelsea. I've definitely been thinking. I'm trying not to say that about you, but you are a little bit clingy and needy. So now Chelsea is crying because Jimmy called her clingy. Chelsea, you are coming off a little bit clingy, babe. That's something that you're going to have to work on. But now Chelsea is crying and saying that that's rude. And Chelsea, what you got to remember is you got to go with somebody's actions and not these words. He can tell you every hour on the hour that he love you, but that don't mean he love you. And you got to know that. If somebody is showing you that they love you, then okay, we can go with that. But just because somebody tell you every hour on the hour like you want it, that they love you, that doesn't mean that they love you. It's just words. So, Chelsea is continuing to, talk about all the things that she has done for him today. You're going to call me clingy when I cooked you dinner. I sat on and watched your TV show with you. And then I went upstairs and I had sex with you, And Jimmy said, you want to talk about sex? We can talk about sex. You the one wanted it. And honestly, guess what? I'm starting to not want that either. You know what, Jimmy? Learn when to shut your mouth. The girl is already spiraling out of control. Like, you didn't have to say that, Jimmy. Chelsea, pack it up. Pack it up. Pack your stuff. Go on home. Like you said, you wanted to go home tonight. Go ahead on home. Get you some space and call your therapist first thing in the morning. Well, instead of Chelsea leaving the apartment, like she said that she was going to go home, Jimmy actually leaves the shared living space and he needs some space. And honestly, they need space from each other. Chelsea is so concerned about Jessica. All of this happened because Jimmy saw a picture of Jessica. Now we are 19 days away from the wedding. And well, what do we see but Jessica showing up to the local watering hole meeting with Laura. So Laura is, asking Jessica. First, she's asking how her daughter is doing, and then she immediately asks, "Okay, have you seen Jimmy? Have you heard from Jimmy? Has he reached out at all?" And Jessica is saying, the day after, everybody got back and got their phones, he did send a friend request to Jessica, and she saw it. And before she could accept the friend request, he withdrew the friend request. And so Jessica is saying that she is not, he's not bad looking. Jimmy is not bad looking. And she said that even if he was butt ugly, she would still marry him and be okay with it. Like for her, it just wasn't about looks. She really did feel like she had love and was in love with Jimmy. She said that she was in love with him. And now Laura is actually saying that Jeremy had actually spoken with Sarah Ann, who was Jeremy's other person in the pod that he was contemplating marriage with. Laura says that Sarah Ann actually DM'd Jeremy. So Laura continues to say, she reads actually Sarah Ann's DM that she sent to Jeremy. And she had actually, she took a picture of it from Jeremy's phone. Jeremy was very open about the fact that Sarah Ann had DM'd him. And at first it was, hope you're doing well. And then it went to, if you change your mind, you know where to find me. And so, of course, Laura is not happy at all about that. And so Jessica she's still kind of talking about Jimmy and the fact that, if things don't work out, although she feels like Chelsea is a nice person, she's a beautiful person, but she would be okay if, Jimmy stepped her way. Y'all, that's the end of the episode. Drop down below and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.